In your top story this hour, the second and last day of the National Convention gets underway at UNISA this morning. And this comes after delegates yesterday discussed various themes in at least 8 dialogue labs. Part of the agenda for today's proceedings is to elect a steering committee that will lead the strategic direction of the over 13,000 dialogues set to take place across the country. Newzroom Afrika senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo is in the capital for us this morning and joins us live now. Good morning once again, Ziyanda. You had a conversation earlier with the convention's national spokesperson. What can we expect from today's program?
Well, today there's going to be a lot of report backs on what took place during those dialogue labs. You've mentioned various themes, which include dealing with intergenerational trauma, corruption and crime, race relations in our country. And as they've been saying, the organizers, this is really a part of kick-starting the process of actually having South Africans give their inputs as to what they believe are the most important issues. And I want to bring in the Nonkululeko Mntambo from the Kagiso Trust, but you're part of that convention organizing committee, to talk about how things went yesterday. And I asked this because there was lots of videos going around on social media. It seemed at some point the discussions were robust, at some point tense. And the question is, how do you manage that? Because yes, it's meant to be citizen-led, but to a certain degree, there needs to be some kind of ground rules and a level of control, no?
No, 100%. And I think our facilitators did an amazing job at grounding certain conversations. But I was saying even in the last conversation that I am between Winnie Mandela Building and the Voortrekker Monument right now. So I expect tension, and it's a reflection of the country. We can't be at 40% unemployment and police tones, right? So I think the conversations were as robust as they should have been, and we hope that in the journey we do the same.
The report back process, how is it going to be conducted? What can we expect?
So in the program today, it's one of the 2 major things we're doing. One, we're going to have members from each thematic group come back, tell us what has been said, and of course people in the room just adding if there's anything left, collating that type of information even from the rapporteurs, and then post that we'll move into speaking about what a steering committee could look like from this process.
Where does this information go? So there was lots of discussion, information has been collated. Who's going to be putting all of this together as a part of, hopefully, discussion documents going forward as the various dialogues, both in communities and on digital platforms, gets rolled out?
So we were privileged enough to have a solid group of rapporteurs with us, and the information is going to be collated together with, in the rest of the national dialogue process, what will be the community action plans, those discussions, things like that. And what we're hoping to do is create an entire collection, an archive of all of what happened, and present it in the second national convention as an instructive, as a reflection, and as a plan for moving forward.
All right, Mntambo is on that convention organizing committee. Chaba, I want to bring in someone who is on the eminent persons group, someone who's no stranger to the labor sector, at least not Mr. Bheki Ntshalintshali. And my question to you is simple. The numbers are telling us, the second quarter unemployment statistics showed us that there has been an increase in the unemployment rate. You were in the Labour Federation. Goodyear and Kariga is closing down, so manufacturing jobs non-existent. Why do we need to keep talking then?
It's because all the suggestions that I've made so far has not delivered what is the expectation. That's why we needed to be talking and have some new ideas. Maybe those that are in power, they have not get the suggestions that can make the economy grow. So we need to go to people, and every idea is important. So this kind of gathering is a process that will shift the question of a blame game, because what has been happening in some of the commission is that it's easier for people to blame somebody. It's say government is not creating job, business is not investing, but we are very short of saying why this is happening. And I think this process should try to unravel that.
Some would say I'm playing devil's advocate, but then it means those who are in power have failed. So they must admit that they've failed and actually try and adopt other policy suggestions that have previously been made. I mean, if you think back to the 90s, there was always tension between COSATU and the ANC over policies, neoliberal policies. So my point is, in each epoch of our democracy, there has been a conversation. Are you then saying then that even yourself, who spent over a decade in COSATU, that there were not enough ideas that would have been able to change the course of the current trajectory we find ourselves in?
Yes or no? It depends, because the time is changing. I mean, even in most developed countries, unemployment persists and strategies have to change from time to time. So there's no permanent solution that if you adopt this, it will then address all your problems, because the economic changes. I mean, now we are in the era of these high tariffs that are going to destroy some of the economies. The issue for us has been that we have some ideas, we have put them, but the implementation in government has been very, very slow. By the time they wake up on some of the ideas, time has changed. So you need to consistently changing and improving. Adopt policies. Policies are not permanent. You try today, it may fail, look for something else. They will continue doing that thing. So there is some element in government of accepting that we have not they have not created the economy. So there's no debate about that one, because the numbers are telling us that.
The numbers are telling us that, but also, I guess part of the critique has been those institutions exist. Then what is the purpose of Parliament? What is the purpose of Parliament going around the country where they're supposed to be, having conversations, the various legislatures, having constituency meetings? We have a National Planning Commission that is also supposed to be tasked with dealing with that. We have a National Development Plan till 2030. So you've literally just highlighted that it's an implementation issue and not a matter of not knowing what to do. Is it not a space where we should be holding people accountable?
We should. I mean, the government has accepted that in terms of capacity, for an example, I mean, they've been very, very lacking. I mean, the behavior of some of the public representatives are questionable. No implementation, no project management, no turning around, and there are no consequence management in that particular area. Those are issues that are in a public domain, and they have been expressed even by government. The issue here is that what we as the people are doing in order to enforce government to implement those policies. People who vote, I normally quote the George Orwell things that those who elect, for an example, corrupt officials can't be the complainant. They are accomplices, because we are the people who elect the public representative. We must have them to account. And if they are not delivering, we should be able to exercise our vote to change them. And that has not been coming, in my view, very, very strongly to the people who are in government, for an example, and said, if you are not performing, the people will be able to remove you and put a better person.
So how does a national dialogue then rectify that? How does a national dialogue rectify the lack of state capacity, the issue of the creation of jobs? Because many still feel it's just a talk shop. So then after that, then what?
That's what we were debating here. That's what the society should be saying. We said, move away from the complaining mode, come to something else. We as a society, what should we be doing? That's what we're expecting here. There are some ideas that were coming from yesterday engagement. In mine was the question of corruption and fraud and corruption. People are looking to the correctional services, for example. They're looking to the justice system. There was a view, for an example, that says perpetrators have more rights than the victims, and that needed to be changed. So people have some ideas, but they may not have the legislative power to do that kind of stuff.
Lots of ideas coming out of those dialogue labs. But again, consistently, our issue is implementation. But Bheki Ntshalintshali from the Eminent Persons Group believes that despite this trend of ours in our country of not being able to implement some of the good policies that already exist, this conversation will and might change the course of how things have been done throughout the years.